yeah, get the main action. That's mainly for like event videos. Obviously, if there's a ribbon cutting, you want to make sure that you get them cutting the ribbon. Otherwise, it's kind of like, well, you know, why did you do a video? And that's something where it's like, normally you would be writing notes or something like that, but if you're videoing it, you're looking at it anyways, you know, you're getting the idea, and you can look back over it if you really like need to see a detail that you didn't write down. And so it's like, you're usually not going to be talking to someone while that main action's going on. You might as well get a little video. I mean, even an uncut 20-second video of that, someone cutting a ribbon, it's better than nothing. At least it gives a little bit of a visual element to the story, gives a better feel to what the atmosphere was, and the audience's reaction is actually how the viewer is going to connect with the video. Otherwise, they're just looking at the video, they're just watching. If you don't see a human element, you don't see humans reacting to that situation, you're not really going to react to it watching it later. So getting people's reactions or their interactions is really important if you want to draw your viewer in. Get the best angle, not just an audience view. You want to get kind of a closer, like, I always think of it as like a backstage view, you know, and, I mean, depending on the situation again, but usually we're doing video because it's exclusive. It's something that people don't normally see, even the people that were there. You know, if there's like an audience there, you want to get video that they wouldn't see. So you want to get closer, you want to get backstage kind of, you want to use your zoom, not during the video in between shots, but you do want to use your zoom, and yeah, that's important. Speaking of the zoom, yeah, don't use that during your shots. It just doesn't really, it never really works out. And panning also, like just turning the camera around, rarely looks good.
Really?
I mean, for our purposes, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because number one, that's going to lengthen your shot. You're going to end up with a 10-second shot, and usually if you're panning, it's something where you could have shown that and then cut and shown something else. So unless it's like a really interesting crowded room full of costumed people or something, that's interesting to pan across. But otherwise, there's not really a good reason for us to do it. And on the fly, don't like hem and haw about your editing. Just find 5 seconds. You know, you're going through your clips. Find 5 seconds that look good and throw it in your sequence. You can always go back and delete it. You can always go back and reorder things if you need to. But it's much harder, because I know people who would watch all of the video that they took and then go back and try and remember where their stuff is. And it's like, well, yeah, that's going to double your editing time, without a doubt. If you just find your stuff and throw it in the timeline, then, you know, taking it back out is negligible time spent. Audio is the base, video illustrates the point. Go first, when I edit, I go first to the interview footage. I pull out that audio, usually keep whatever clip looks good for the interview of the person actually talking, you know, the 8 seconds or whatever where they're actually talking that I actually took video of it, and then I just take their audio and spread it out. And for that, you do just have to go through your maybe 2-minute interview with the person and just find the best sound clips and put them back to back. But that's your base, and you build off of that with your B-roll. Finally, integrate your interviews into B-roll and not the other way around. Interview visuals should be brief. It should be 8 seconds at the most, I'd say. The most accurate representation of a situation is not uncut footage. It's a variety of shots, and it's a variety of subjects. From like a journalistic standpoint, you know, people say that it's easy to juxtapose 2 images and make it and change the situation, but really cutting video actually makes things more accurate. You know, if you're writing a story, you wouldn't write, he picked up the ball, and then he passed it, and that person dribbled it, and then he passed it to someone else, and then that person dunked. You know, you would say an assist and a dunk. That's it. And so what you show is the assist and the dunk. Cutting it makes it more understandable. Following but just raw footage, it just doesn't, again, unless it's really strong impact footage for whatever reason, raw footage doesn't represent the story as accurately to the viewer at least. Finally, cut often. Just keep your clips short. Don't linger on something unless it's really interesting. 10 seconds of someone's hands doing a craft, usually not very interesting. 4 to 5 seconds, sure, that's interesting. That keeps viewers' attention. After about 4 to 5 seconds, unless the action is really has a big impact, viewers' attention just disappears. That's just how we watch video. And then finally, don't transition, just cut. Dissolves between when someone's talking and then suddenly it dissolves to still talking with their head pointing the other direction, really doesn't do it for me at least. I don't know if you guys really like that, but it really, you can always find B-roll. You can always cut away to B-roll and show that instead. And it'll be much more interesting, and you avoid whatever that dissolve transition that everyone thinks they need to use is. But also don't jump cut, don't just cut so that their head suddenly turns, and cut away to B-roll. And in terms of cutting, it might seem like when you're doing it, oh, it's weird to suddenly go to this shot and weird to suddenly go to that shot. It usually isn't. And I mean, look at movies. It's getting easier and easier for audiences to understand what's happening in videos to make logical connections. Look at our videos or our movies today versus 50 years ago. How fast they are. In an action movie, less than a second per shot most of the time, and we completely comprehend what's going on. So people can put it together pretty easily. Don't be too afraid to cut. And if it doesn't work one time, it'll work better the next time. So.
Thank you everyone for watching, and feel free to contact me if you have any questions.